All right.
Settle down, Wackerle.
Why is it always me?
Because it's you.
It always
Because
is.
it's always you. It's not even Mustache. It's you.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You don't know what I'm talking about. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. See,
don't
it's
know,
funny
maybe.
because it just came on YouTube and you were laughing. Your little Michigan hat was popping all over the screen. Anyhow, y'all ready to go?
Yeah.
Let's go.
I can't hear. Here we go. Welcome to Creative Makers Podcast, episode 82. I'm Joey with Stillblade Woodworks, and we're changing it up a little bit today. Mr. Colton couldn't make it today, so we're just going to talk about tools that we regret buying. And got some little admin stuff here to do first before we kick it off, and we'd like to officially introduce BJ from Byroms Custom Woodworks as our permanent fourth host on the podcast. Welcome, bud. Thanks for joining with us. It's going to be good times. Got a lot of good things coming up, and thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. And I love how you say permanent, as long as you'll have me. I'll stay.
No. It's permanent. Now the mustache, I don't know about that guy.
I'm on my trial. I'm still on my trial.
Probationary period.
90-day probationary period. Yeah, exactly.
Wackerle's already done through that. We can't get rid of him. He's like,
I'm anchored in now.
He's like that piece of gum that gets on your shoe and you're walking through the parking lot and you just
with a nail in it.
Ooh.
Wow.
Oh, nail. All right, guys. And just so you know, we're also like to give a special thanks to Mama T for supporting us on our Patreon. Thank you very much. We appreciate the support, and anybody that wants to that feels it in their heart that wants to support us, head on over to patreon.com/Creative Makers Podcast and check it out. See if you want to jump in there and give us some of that money, No, I'm just kidding. Any support would be greatly appreciated. But.
Yes, it would.
And
yes.
And to those people that sign up for Patreon, we want to go ahead and hint at the giveaway that's coming up for Patreon members.
Yeah.
Because we do.
Yeah, we do have a giveaway coming up for Patreon members. Any paid Patreon members will enter to win a chance to win. What are we giving away this time?
We're giving away a lot of cool stuff coming up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's
going to be
any level.
Yeah. We're also starting to work on our 100th episode giveaway. We already have some good sponsors on board, and we're working at getting some more, and we're going to try to make it an epic 100th show celebration. And hopefully we can get some other good companies out there that we all use. We all love to have in our shops. And we're trying our hardest to get that rounded up and get it going. And as we get closer, that will be June 8th is our 100th episode live show. And you will have to be live to win in the live chat to win. It's going to be fun. We're going to try to make it a great show. But yeah, that's about what we got going on, guys. Anything else y'all want to add?
No. Stay tuned in this episode.
You couldn't hear me if I could.
As I say, stay tuned in this episode because we have a pretty cool giveaway coming up in this episode too.
Oh yeah.
Yes, we do.
Stay in the chat. We will be giving something cool away.
So
that's right.
If you're out in the chat, make sure you share it because we had to make some changes here close to showtime. So share it with your friends, share it with everybody. Let's get some people in here because we will be doing a little giveaway here like BJ has said. So, and you have to be present to win it. So let's get going, guys. Who wants to start it off talking about tools we regret buying?
I'll kick it off.
Okay.
All right. So I bought a bandsaw. Do we want to? Yeah. Let's
go ahead.
Let's just go.
Come on.
I bought a Craftsman bandsaw. Not anything big or whatsoever. But I was kind of early in my journey in the shop and stuff, and I definitely wanted a bandsaw. I needed something, and I bought that Craftsman bandsaw, and I tried resawing on that, and oh my goodness, talk about wavy boards. Like, oh, it took more time to sand those down and plane all those out, and oh my gosh, that was a bad purchase for me, at least.
Yeah, those saws don't have not very powerful, and that's just kind of like entry level, but they're good. I mean, they'll work, but resawing, it's going to take a pretty good saw to do it, and you know, you're very selective on what you can do as far as blade sizes. I think those saws, they go up to half inch was the biggest you could put on that bandsaw.
Probably, yeah. I didn't even.
Half inch is a little big. You can.
Yeah, I didn't even change the blade out. I was just using what it came with at the time.
Little 1/8 blade.
I don't even think those things were even half horse. I think they were like a third horse or something.
Third or quarter horse, yeah.
Yeah, probably.
Pretty weak.
Yeah.
It kind of goes along, you know, talking about that. I bought, I'm not going to talk bad about it because I was trying to use it for something different. And I bought a smaller Grizzly bandsaw because the Grizzly bandsaw I have is great. I have no issues with it, but it was kind of my fault. I bought a small bandsaw, kind of like that Craftsman, and I had intentions of using it for things that it wasn't intended for, and it disappointed me. But that's my own fault, you know, not Grizzly's fault. But it's one of those third horse. I think it's third quarter horse, little bandsaw. And I mean, it's good for like cutting small things, or if you want to do patterns or, you know, sharp turn things, that's great for like 1/8 inch, quarter inch stuff. No problem. But you're not going to start resawing anything quite big. I mean, it'll do it, but it has some problems with it. But yeah, I mean, I'll go next. My biggest, one of my biggest regrets is is a scroll saw.
Joe, you're pronouncing that wrong. It's called doorstop.
Doorstop.
I'm getting to that. You gotta let me get to it. You screwed my punchline up, man.
Oh.
Thanks a lot. So I'm gonna offend all the scroll sawers out there. And I'm just joking. Y'all do some very beautiful work. That saw is just not something that needs to be in my lineup. I bought it for one thing, and I was doing some I guess they're tables, entrance tables for like the foyer, and I needed to cut a cross out in the middle of the legs, so they were solid legs, the way that I made that table. And I could have used a jigsaw, right? But it was like, let's try the scroll saw. Let's try the scroll saw. It'll work, right? Give me a reason to go get into that kind of realm of work. But yeah, that thing, as soon as I was done with it, it became a doorstop. And that was money. I still have it. And it kind of gets kicked around here or there. Eventually I'll have to just get rid of it because I have no use for that thing. That's no.
I still got mine. My wife bought it for me for I think a birthday, and it's still sitting in the box. It's in the basement, but it's still in the box.
I have an old Delta scroll saw that was my dad's, and I mean it works. I haven't used it in probably 5 or 6 years, but yeah. One of these days I might get it back out.
I feel like once you get you're just gonna kind of put that tool aside, you know. Like once I got even a laser, you know, like I can cut stuff way more accurately on my scroll saw or on my laser.
There you go.
And I'll play devil's advocate for the scroll saw. If you're for young kids, because that's the saw I learned on, was a scroll saw. It is very, very hard to get hurt using that saw. That's one of the benefits. So for young kids wanting to get into the saw, I mean, well, because the blade's only just doing this; it's just going up and down.
True.
So there's less risk of it, and they don't cut super fast, so you're not going to fly into the blade. So for young kids, I think it's a great beginner tool. To learn how to control a cut. That's all, but other than that, no. It's lasers and CNCs are so much better. Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, so mine was, I was young, very young, and then I was always interested in the Yankee Workshop, and Norm was on there, and he's like going through all these lists of tools that you need to have, and if you don't have this, you need to have this. Yeah. And I thought, well, I'm doing molding. Well, I need to get a miter box. So I got one of the hand pole miter boxes, and it's not the one that came with the saw attached to it where you could cut. No, it was like you had to buy your own saw and get it in there. And cutting with that thing when I was a kid, I couldn't keep a 45-degree angle to save my rear.
Why not?
That was the worst. I hated that miter box saw. Especially you started getting into like crown molding and stuff and trying to upside down, reverse. No, that wasn't happening.
That's like what they have at the orange big box store, right?
Yeah, it's like a big.
Like
it's a
cut your own like material.
And then it's got all the cuts into it, and you're going from point A to point B, cutting it, and as long as you hold it, and you got a twist in it, and you got another arm to hold it. You got it, because back then it wasn't clamps; it was hold it like this and cut like this.
Right. I think my dad had one of those. I didn't know years before I knew what it was.
Oh yeah.
So one of my tool purchase regrets, if anybody knows the brand Recon, the tool brand, that makes all the measuring tools.
Yeah.
So I will say, scammed into buying their miter saw measuring thing that like clamps onto the miter saw, and then you slide the wood through it.
Oh yes.
I kind of see the purpose of it, but the one I had never worked. You'd use it, you dial it in, turn it off, come back a day later, and it would be off again. I went to them. They're like, "Oh no, this is wrong with it. Your batteries are bad." It kept on. And by the time it got to the point where it was like, "Okay, I'm going to return it," it was past the return window, and they were like, "Oh yeah, sorry, it's past the return window. You can't return it." And
so they have a 90-day return policy on that thing.
It's not. It might have been a 90-day return policy, because I bought it off of Amazon, so maybe it was 30 or something. But yeah, and I think they've now officially blocked me on all their social media, because I tend to just troll their comments. Because they posted a video. They posted, no, not me. They posted a video a while back, and it was like the CEO of the company doing something else. And I commented, it's like, "Oh, is that who I need to send an email to get my money back on that piece of junk tool that never worked? That that all these YouTubers were passing off as the greatest thing in the world because you paid them all this money." And after that, I quit seeing their content. So I think they blocked me.
Boy, I'm gonna go take my video off YouTube now.
Oh, did you make a video on that? Oh,
yes,
I thought we were friends. Oh God, yeah.
Excuse me. But yeah, I have one. And you are right. It does have its flaws. And especially once you move it, you have to re-zero. And if it's gonna stay on there and you're gonna use it, mine's accurate. Mine worked. I tried it and tested, and it did work. But once you shut it off or once you move it, you have to go through the whole process again. And it's like, where's mine? It's in the box.
Yeah. Mine's in a box underneath my workbench.
Joey, yours are in a box? No.
Shocking.
Yeah. Mustache, what's another one of yours?
Oh boy. I don't know. Let me come back in at the end, because I'm having a brain fart.
Oh, really?
I've got a twofer I can throw out.
Go ahead.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. So, one, was when I was first getting really back into woodworking. I had my dad's, it might have even been my grandpa's old Craftsman router, not even a trim router. It was, and I love this router because it has the double handles on it with
Mm.
trigger. Beautiful router. Well, it gave up the magic smoke finally, and happened to see on Rockler's website that if you traded in an old router, you could get. There's a couple different options. I was like, oh, let's run to Rockler and we'll get it. Well, one of the options that they convinced me to get was a dovetail jig, and the one that you clamp the wood in and cut the dovetails.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. So, and I say not a regret, but I should have gotten a different feature because I used it one time.
And what brand did you get?
It was the Rockler brand.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and it works, but every time, I had to sit there and watch video after video to figure out how to use it because their instructions are not great. And I made a cool little box with blind dovetails, and I was like, man, I should have got this other thing that would have been way more useful at the end of the day. And the second one, which I regretted at first, but now I don't regret it, but I still think I'm gonna sell it, is my drum sander. And it was
What?
I love my drum sander.
It was on a whim, and got it home, and it's the Jet 1632.
Mm.
I had so much trouble with it getting it to dial it in, because once you got it all set up, run a board through it would the bed would drop. And yes, and Jet did make it right. They got it taken care of, but it just took a while. And I didn't have a planer at the time, and I use that sucker all the time. But I can tell you, in the last year, I haven't even cleaned off the beds and the wings that I have on it, because I just don't use it anymore.
Really?
Because I use it to flatten, end grain cutting boards and charcuterie boards and stuff like that, just because I didn't like running all that stuff through my planer. Well, now that I've got that big Onefinity CNC, I just use it to flatten everything.
Oh, true.
So I have no need for it, really. It's just kind of taking up shop space at this point.
I got a question for you, BJ.
Okay.
Have you ever had a problem running an end grain cutting board through a planer?
Yes.
What happened?
I have. It didn't completely blow up, but it took the last inch off the cutting board and threw it across the shop.
Really?
Yeah.
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 It just tears it out.
It just tears it out now, and I've done it 100 times and never had a single issue. And then that one time, and luckily I had walked around to the front of the planer when it shot, all that wood out of the back, threw it into the back wall of my shop, and went and changed my drawers. Yeah, it was.
The only way I know to stop it from doing that is to attach a board to the back end of it. You're basically figured a sacrificial piece. Yeah.
Yep. And just cut it off.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's now with the CNC, it's like, I can flatten it there and be done with it. So
I think that one of mine is I saw an old man using it, and I thought that it was cool, and thought, well, he's just ripping through stuff like crazy, and I want to get one. And I was young and a little bit bigger in my back than I am now, and that was a worm saw, worm driven, kind of like a skill. It looked just like a skill saw.
Oh, okay, yeah,
yes, but it's worm, and then it's also right-handed, and so you're just able to rip through. I mean, just rip boards like crazy, but that thing weighs like 3 times more than a skill saw does. And the motor's in the back, dead in the back, and so everything's worm driven on it. So if it's there, it's cutting it. Whatever is there is cutting. It's getting cut. But you sling that thing all day long for 7 days, 5 days a week, you're gonna come out like a Popeye arm.
Yeah.
And so I didn't use it for a while, and I tried using it again here probably 2 years ago, I think it was, and I tried to use it again. I was like, huh, why did I buy this again?
Yeah.
Yeah, that thing will wear you out. But I mean, it's a good saw. Don't get me wrong, but it's a young man saw, if you ask me.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, and I don't have them, but I've used them, and I love the fact that for me, and I'm right at 6 foot tall, I can easily cut across a sheet of plywood.
Mm-hmm.
You know, instead of having to stop halfway through or lean way over that sheet of plywood, you can rip sheets of plywood in half because they're so much longer than a regular skill saw or circular saw, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah.
Back in the day, I bought, and I used to go, when I first started off, I bought a lot of stuff. I would go to Sears. I would either get Craftsman or I would go to Harbor Freight because it's just, getting into the swing of things. And, financially, it didn't make sense to spend a lot of money. He's just starting off. And I bought one of those sanders that have the disc and the belt.
Oh, I had that.
I've still got my Roby one, yeah.
And I've looking around, and of course, you looked at Grizzly, and they all look similar. And I said, well, why the heck am I going to go spend all that money when I can go buy it from Harbor Freight, fairly reasonable? That was the biggest piece of junk I ever bought. It would stall out. I mean, one of those things where you barely touch a piece of wood on it and that thing would stall out. And I'm like, so that thing is, I cussed that thing quite a bit. I'm surprised I didn't throw it across the shop floor, but live and learn, later on, that deserved to be more of a door stopper than the scroll saw.
Yeah. I probably had that exact same sander that you had, Joey. I hated that so much. I mean, you just touch a piece on the disc and it would be like, we're gonna stop.
Yeah, it's freaking horrible. Yeah. And I don't want to be sitting here bashing Harbor Freight because there is some stuff there that
there's some gems.
There's some good stuff in there,
Mm-hmm.
and then there's one-off things that you're gonna go buy that you're gonna mess up, but you just need it for that one time use, and then it's gonna go away. But they have upgraded their tool line tremendously. Big time. Because there's some, you look at Izzy Swan, he's compared some drills and the Hercules line and stuff like that. That's really well made. It's pretty good. And the toolboxes, I'm a tool I've bought toolboxes from them, mechanics toolboxes, and those things are stout. They're good. Yeah. You're gonna go spend thousands on a Matco or a Snap-on. Yeah, I mean, go look at them because I've got quite a few of those toolboxes, and those things are, that and I know Matt and I, we always go about the paint sprayers.
I'll buy those. I buy the dozen. I love them.
You catch those suckers $9.99 on sale, and you run some finish through them, and if they mess up, just toss them and go buy another one.
And pull the regulator off the bottom of them, put the regulator on the next one, and go on. Yep.
I've finished a lot of stuff with them.
Yeah, I've had the Bauer brand. Yeah, it's the Bauer brand pin nailer, brad nailer, and staple gun for 8-9 years now, and they look ugly as all get out because they're covered in paint and glue and everything else, but they work every single time. They are phenomenal tools, and hate on me all you want to. My favorite set of chisels are my Harbor Freight chisels. They don't hold an edge long, but they sharpen quick, and when they get sharp, they work great.
Yeah.
Today will be BJ's last day on the podcast because of that comment.
Hey, I'm here to tell you the best tool coming out of Harbor Freight for me is their dust collector, and that's only because I'm going to Frankenstein it.
Yep.
But
that's
you can't get it cheaper. You can't get it cheaper unless you get it from like a yard sale or something like that. You can't. It's the same thing that everybody else is selling for the same exact horsepower, whole 9 yards. And once you Frankenstein that thing, it'll actually run at the CFMs that it states it'll do.
And not to knock any of these other companies, but you bring a good point because if you look at it spec wise, and other companies will just repaint it.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same dust collector.
It's made out of the same warehouse.
$500 cheaper.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you go buy it? There's no shame in it. We've done videos. It's a good dust collector. You just got to modify it a little bit, you know?
Right.
You don't have to. It works great the way it is, but if you want to use it on a whole shop, it will work.
Yep.
It will work.
And I heard, so a buddy of mine's got their dust extractor, and he absolutely loves it. You know, and it's half the price of
Which one?
I've never heard of it.
The Bauer, I think it's their Bauer brand dust extractor.
Oh, really? I didn't know they had one.
It was put out to compete with, I think the Makita or the Bosch one. But he said for the way it works, like it works better than, you know, or it works great, you know, compared to like, I've got the Festool, and he's like, man, for half the price, you could have had this. I was like, well, they didn't have it. And they just launched a brand new tool that I've heard is absolutely awesome. They just launched a brand new scroll saw.
That's like talking about Yugo who launched a new line that's everybody's going to be able to drive it now called Yalgo. Come on, buddy. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I heard about that the other day. It's like, we're talking scroll saws. I had to bring it up. Sorry.
We'll kick Mustache around a few times with that scroll saw because he gets pretty offensive.
He's a scroll saw a little bit.
I take the same stance as Jamie on that. I've made some awesome stuff with that scroll saw. You know,
now I will tell you that, you know, I've and it's not really a regret, but I've bought framing nailers and I've got a few, and I'm going to tell you that the DeWalt cordless framing nailer, it's good, but it didn't last.
Really?
The striking pin that hits the nail, that actually bent, and I had to do some surgery on it to fix it. And that was a real letdown because I didn't use it when I built the apartment in here. I like the fact not lugging around an air hose and et cetera. And then it started messing up where it started jamming, and I had to throw it aside, and I picked up my old trusty Central Pneumatic Harbor Freight framing nailer. It worked, but I also have a Porta cable, and that nailer, I did there. I mean, only thing is that the Harbor Freight is a little red. It got a red cap, and the Porta cable is black, a black top. And I mean, if you compare them, they're pretty much the same. Yeah. And I mean, I was really let down on that DeWalt framing nailer, to be honest, for the amount of money. And it didn't last very long. I mean, it works now. I fixed it, but it's a matter of time before that striking head or striking pin, it's going to get weak and it's going to break. And I'm pretty sure parts you can order from DeWalt, but it's just like you figure that something that expensive would last a little longer, you know?
Wow.
So, but you know, that was kind of one that I was disappointed on, and I've been disappointed by DeWalt before. You know, you really got to pay attention. Like, in fact, I've stopped buying them, to be honest. I've went all Milwaukee now. But some of their drill driver combos, there is differences in them, and you really got to pay attention when you're buying on those sales, because I pulled one straight out of the box and it smoked within 15 minutes of using it. It brand new, smoked the motor in the drill. And I'm like, what the heck? You know, the only good thing that came out of that set were the batteries.
Yep. Yeah, I've got a set of DeWalt drill and impact driver that I just happened to be at the store at the right time, and the DeWalt rep was there, and he's like, hey, this is last year's model. It was the top of the line last year, and the store has too many of them. So they were like, it was like a $350 drill driver set. I got it for $100, and it works phenomenally. And I mean, at the time, I was just doing DIY stuff, and it works great. I ended up several years later, I bought one of the rigid, like big toolkits that came with the skill saw and the multi-tool thing and all that other stuff. And it's supposed to be a better impact driver and drill than the DeWalt one. The only thing the rigid has that the DeWalt doesn't is it's got the hammer drill feature. But that DeWalt will run circles around that rigid toolkit. Just and it weighs half as much. That's the only thing with those big rigid tools is they're so freaking heavy.
Now
if you're drilling above your head.
Yeah. Now just some retribution for DeWalt. When I was putting this big beam up here, when I added this part of the office on, I was driving is it 10-inch lags? Once I put the support beam in there to attach everything. And I'm like, I'm going to try this out because you always see where they compete, Milwaukee and DeWalt.
Yep.
Who can drive the DeWalt? I think it's their brushless series, their higher end one, right?
Yeah.
With the Milwaukee brushless, whatever Lightning or whatever it's called. The DeWalt, it's a lighter hammer drill or a lighter impact. It doesn't feel as heavy duty as a Milwaukee, but that DeWalt beat the hell out of that Milwaukee. And I was let down because I was like, this Milwaukee is going to tear it up. Absolutely not. It was the other way around. And I was like, and the Milwaukee was getting hot on me as to where the DeWalt just drove it in. I don't know if it's just geared a little different, but it was sinking
to it.
Yeah, heavier hammer or something.
Yeah. It was crazy. And there's no, I did drill a little bit of a pilot hole to get it started, but then the rest of the way was just solid going through wood. So it would get a good grip on it. And it really surprised the heck out of me that DeWalt actually outperformed the Milwaukee. It's crazy.
Yeah. I had I was doing my soffits on my house, and I had to take like a 3-inch hole saw and make little hockey puck holes in the soffit so the roof would breathe. And I had a plug-in DeWalt drill, and that thing was throwing me around so bad. I ended up breaking the head off that drill.
Oh god.
And I bought it off Amazon actually, and I
slightly used.
No, it was brand new, and I got a brand new one and everything, and I was down waiting for the new one to ship and everything. And my buddy comes over, and he's like, "Oh, I hear you use this." He's had this DeWalt drill for years and years and years. He's like, "It's got a lot of experience." Like,
do y'all remember the DeWalt 20 volt, the old line that had the big oval battery?
Yep,
still have them.
Did y'all ever twist the head off, like the hole on the plastic portion where the handle is right above it? Have y'all ever had that break on you?
I never had that type, but I know what drill you're talking about. And yeah, I've seen them break like that.
No.
I was sitting there driving one day, and that thing just twisted off the whole thing. I was left with the handle and the wire that came out from the trigger to the motor. I was like, I mean, a long time
the
ago.
The DeWalt was just trying to outwork you. That's all it was.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
All right. So,
how about you, Wackerle?
Another regret?
Yeah.
And this is probably an unpopular thing, quite honestly. But to me, any sawhorse that I've ever purchased, I don't like them. Literally after like 1 or 2 uses, they get bent up. They get where they just don't work properly. And I would just rather make my order 6 extra 2x4s and a 2x6 and build my own.
Yep.
And I can build them in 30 minutes. And I have sawhorses that I know they're going to stay steady on me. I know they're going to work. And I'll usually have good the 2x6. I have a good flat spot, and I'm able to cut through them and keep trucking.
Yep.
And so any kind of sawhorses, and I've purchased some nice ones. I really have, like extendable legs, and they fold out and this, that, and the other. And then you go to put them up and you pinch your finger and you can't they won't fold up properly, and it's just so it's just a pain when you can just buy a couple extra when you go to the job site. Boom, hurry up and build them. 30 minutes, and you're done. Yep. And so
yeah, those jaw horse like sawhorses that kind of like lock your material. You like step on. I think Worx, that company Worx makes one.
Yeah, they do them, and so
right.
does who's the other company that does them? I forget the other company's name.
It's
but
a bigger, it's a bigger tool brand.
Yeah.
But
Triton.
Triton. Yeah.
Yes, Triton. I used those at Maker Camp in the Sabertooth booth one year, and those things were super handy. You know, I don't think I'd buy one, but I mean, for what it is, you know, a quick pinch, it works pretty good.
Yeah.
It works pretty good.
Another tool that I purchased that I regret. It taught me some stuff, but was a 3D printer that I had bought. That dual head printer, Matt, by JG Maker.
Yep.
It was supposed to be a full IDEX printer, and that was a real letdown. Using that thing, it didn't work. It was hard to
not a self-leveling bed. Yeah,
it was hard to level because Matt bought one shortly after I bought one. If you were going to use one head, it would work all right, not all the time. It was trying to get that first layer down, and it was expensive. It was an expensive printer. It's about $500-600, so it wasn't cheap.
Dang.
I still have mine and I use it, but I only use it for one operation, and it'll print okay as long as it gets the first layer down. But from what they showed to getting it here and trying to do the things that they said it would do, it wouldn't do it. Now, on the other hand, the other ones that I bought from them, where I basically was printing all my stuff on, those were good printers. They were decent printers. They printed, and like any 3D printer, it's always about getting that first layer started. And once you can get that first layer started, the likelihood of you succeeding on that print is pretty high. Doesn't mean that it's going to make it, because a lot of things can happen with the filament and et cetera before it gets to the finish. But that printer there was a big letdown. Now that we know what we know, and now what we got,
yep.
You know, there's nothing comparable to those the new bamboo printers. But you know, I think it's helped us learn and know things that a lot of people that have come into 3D printing now never had the opportunity to learn and fight those issues. You know, to know. You know, because there's sometimes there's still some issues with bamboo that you have now and then, but you once you have that experience, you know the things to look for, and that's where it comes in. You know, some people that had never 3D printed and jumped right into the bamboo line, you know, they come up with these questions, and it's like, well, you tell them, and it's like that's kind of stuff that we had to learn, you know.
Back in my day, we walked uphill both ways.
But that was a big letdown.
Yeah. So I hinted at a tool in our live the other night that I regret buying. And Joey, you asked me the first time I was on the podcast how much I love Festool. I have a Festool that I regret buying.
Really?
Oh,
I do.
Okay.
So
you're really not going to be on the show after this.
Hey, it's not. Okay, it's an accessory. It's an accessory to a tool. I love their dust extractor. They're expensive, and there's other brands out there that are cheaper that do almost the same thing. But I love their dust extractor. But their bags, you know, they get expensive. So I was talked into buying the Cyclone separator for the Festool. If you are using it for anything but sanding, it's wonderful. You know, if you're using it, you know, for the track
Sawdust
saw and stuff like that. The larger stuff, the separator works great. But if you're using it for sanding, when the basin is full, your bag is full. So you're going through a bag every time you fill up the basin anyways. So it's like, okay, maybe it extends the bag double
50%. Yeah, it's 50%.
So,
Yeah.
So yeah, but because I've noticed, like, if I just am vacuuming up stuff off the CNC, like when I'm doing my flattening jobs, nothing gets in the bag. But as soon as I'm that really, really fine dust from the sander, it's most of the time it's bypassing the cyclone. And it's like, man, that was I got mine on eBay, so I think I only paid $200 or $300 for it. I didn't pay full price, but still, it's like, that's a lot of bags for that price. Like,
have you ever thought about getting the reusable ones, the zip up ones that you can get aftermarket, not even Festool brand?
I've thought about it, but every time I need to order bags, they're never in stock.
Yeah. And really and truly, it's defeating the purpose of what you wanted it. You didn't want to have to mess with that bag because it's a pain. You got to take it all apart to get to it. And I get it, And
still to dump that extractor, it's not easy. You got to disassemble the whole extractor to dump the extractor. It's not just pop the lid off and go.
Oh.
And part of me is like, I'm really tempted just to put it out there and just sell it, just because
I'll buy it from you.
Yeah, I mean, and the biggest thing for me is the way I had my sanding station set up is my extractor fit under the table.
Yeah.
And now with that attachment on, the whole extractor and cyclone is taller than my sanding table. So if I'm sanding big wide things, I've got to move my extractor away from the table. So it's like,
So since I do have one that I do regret buying from Festool.
Okay.
I'm going to say it.
The Domino?
No. Hell no.
How dare you?
My Domino.
I'll remove you from the show.
Hey. I love my Domino.
No, that's the boom arm that's on my CT36.
Yep. I've heard
Don't
that.
spend your money on it. And I was told don't spend your money, and I was hard-headed and I bought it. It's good as long as you're not going to move that extractor around. Yeah. If you're going to move that extractor around, you have to have those outrigger arms on the bottom so it doesn't tip over, because it will tip over on you. And
it's like a crane. You got to put out the outriggers before you can move the mast.
Yeah,
what's going on here?
And you can actually see it right there in the window. Yep. It's good though. It is good. It keeps the hose out of the way, etc. As long as it's going to be stationary.
Yeah.
Then you'll be okay. If you're thinking of moving that thing around the shop and it's not good, because those outriggers on the bottom, they just get in the way. They hook things. And then every now and then, if that thing does swing far enough back, it will actually flip the whole extractor over.
Oh, dang.
Has that happened? Has that happened to you?
Oh yeah, plenty of times. And I thought what I figured that eventually what I'll do is permanently mount that boom arm on a table where I'm going to specifically sand, just to keep it up out of the way and there's not a hose dragging. And then just have it to where you can plug the extractor into it when you need it, or plumb that straight into the dust collector, And of course, hard lesson learned, that's expensive, and that's an expensive thing to mount on the side of a table, but I already have it. So what am I going to do with it? I'm not going to sell it. It's there. I'll just keep on using it.
I've been thinking about just getting another hose, get the extension hose, and then hooking a bungee cord up in the ceiling and just hang it from a bungee cord, so it's not hanging there.
I think Wackerle sells that dust right, like
the track stuff.
Yeah,
something like that.
I think you mounted it like on the corner of your workbench, and it just kept the hoses like up out of the way, so it dropped down.
So I've had an idea for a while, and I just haven't done it yet. And basically, if you run your dust collector or your shop vac or your extractor, whatever you want to run, you run it through your table, so you have a hole in your table, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Take the PVC and then put it into the table so it's deep enough in the table where it hits two pieces, so it's mounted good, but it's able to spin still. So it's hooked up to your extractor.
Okay.
And then run your PVC up, and then build your arm 245s, and then come on over and then drop it 245, so it's dropping right down to you, and it's got a spin, a pivot all the way around, and now you can hang your hose off from it, and now your hose is always above you.
Ooh.
Is it built yet?
I have pieces of it built out there already. Yes, I just haven't finished it. But yeah, it's one of the things that I thought about, and I was like, this is stupid. Why aren't we just using the pipe itself as the hose coming down? And now you don't have, you can mount your cord right to it. Yep. Everything can come straight down to it. So your power is right there. Everything's right there.
Yep.
But a little retribution though. I tell you what, if you are looking for a sander, I would highly recommend, if you want to just kind of dab or get yourself into the Festool line, you can go over to Festool Recon, and you can usually pick you up that what is that one sander, the 120
T150, is that what it's called?
ETS 120.
125. 125 is the 5-inch, I believe.
Yeah, the 6-inch is the 150, right?
Yeah. The small one, but it's the small one for like $199. You can pick that thing up. Here's a good little sander for finishing.
So here's a cool thing about the 125. I bought the 125. Do you know what the difference between the 125 and the 150 are?
25 digits.
It's the size of the pad. Yeah, you're God. I'm just gonna mute myself real quick. Hold on. Anyway, so what I was saying.
I couldn't help it.
I'm trying to help people. I'm trying to help people out here. So, because I have the CT 125, the flat one, the shorter one.
Yeah.
The difference between the 125 and the 150 is the pad that it's shipped with. There is no difference in the sander whatsoever.
Except
so
for
you can
on the stroke it is. On the stroke it is. You can get different strokes.
You can get the but you can get the 150 in a 3mm stroke too. So they do. They have the one. They have the 3mm stroke in both.
Okay.
So if you want both, all you do is go buy a 150 pad. It bolts up to the 125. Now you've got a 5-inch and a 6-inch sander all in one sander.
Huh. Oh, I see where you're going with that. Yep. Okay.
So I did that. I bought the 125 in that same order. I ordered the 150 pad. You unbolt the pad off of it. You put the 150 on. Now the downside is it is a 3mm stroke, so it's not going to sand as fast. It's a higher grade finishing sander, but you're able to sand way more material at one time. And it's $150 cheaper, almost $200 cheaper. Yeah.
I have the Rotex 150, and holy Moses, that thing will take anything off.
Mm-hmm.
It is very aggressive.
I had the 3M. Yeah, I had the I had the 3M sander, and they said it was exactly comparable, this, that, and the other. And I had to send it back 3 times.
Yep.
Because the motor burnout on it. Okay. And the 4th time I said, you know what? I'm done. Give me my money back. And I bought the Rotex 150, and night and day. It's night and day.
Yeah, it's a good sander. It's a good sander. Just you got to be careful with it, because that Rotex will take a lot of material off quick and leave you divots.
It's an angle grinder at that point.
Yep.
Yeah. I have the Bosch version of that, because I've had that one for years. And it's got the the turbo mode that just turns into an angle grinder. Man, you put 60 grit sandpaper on that, you could sand through a tree.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it is amazing.
Those little Bosch sanders, the dust collection actually surprises me. Just going into the little cartridge, I'm surprised at how much dust, fine dust, that little cartridge actually captures in those Bosch ones.
Well, you see, Festool is a system, right?
Yep.
And they're well known for their dust collection, right?
Oh, yeah.
That's the good thing about their tools, is they got very, very good dust collection. And when you match it up with their extractors, I mean, literally, I can suck a piece of wood up on a sander. I was doing it today on a piece of 3/4 inch. You can hear it, and it'll just suck itself to it, right?
You need
and
to
you
turn
can
your
pick that
vacuum
piece
down.
of yeah. So but what I was
works.
getting at is, another tool that I regret buying over the years because I bought multiple of them, and that workbench top that I made that I had the incident with the epoxy that I got it too hot and all that stuff. That kind of years ago when I did that, that was what drove me into getting a better sander because I was trying to use like a lot of people do. They use the DeWalt orbital sanders, and the cordless ones. They're just junk. I would never buy another one because the weight is offset. Your hands go numb, and that's what drove me to buy that ETS 125, which is an introductory to sanding kind of in Festool. But that sander is such a sweet sander, and when I bought that, I also bought the 150. And I mean, night and day difference. Your hand doesn't go numb. The DeWalts they're not, especially on the cordless ones, they're not balanced well. And if you're not paying attention, you'll leave divots and it just takes you forever. Plus it burns the heck up out of the batteries and you're constantly charging batteries trying to get done. They're good for small little things. What I use them for now that I don't have to because I use Bow Shield, but I would use those sanders to resurface the cast iron tops or clean them up is really what I use them for now.
Hey, I think we need to pause right here just for a moment and maybe do it. Let's do this giveaway.
Oh yeah. Oh yes.
All right. So you me kick it off and Joey, you can run the thing. All right. So what we're doing is a saw stop drawer that goes into the into the fence tube of a saw stop. It goes on the left side, so right by your left hand. All you need to do in the comments, put hashtag saw stop. Now, I do have to limit this to the continental U.S., but go ahead and put hashtag saw stop in the chat, and I will send you, whoever wins, I will send you out a beautiful saw stop drawer to hold your pencils and
can
golf
I enter
keys or whatever. No.
Oh, come on, man. It's not right.
I'll send you the link. You can buy one. So yeah. And I love mine. I've got one on either end of my saw, and it is wonderful to just keep all the extra pins and pencils and everything you need.
Nice. I can do.
We got one person entering. That's it.
I was about to say we got one person.
Hashtag saw stop in the chat.
Yes, I could do a quick story on our topic from earlier.
Go ahead.
We can let it collect and continue talking.
Yeah, I have the BJ was talking about the dovetail jig from Wackerle. I bought that exact same jig and it's still in the box. Haven't even taken it out.
Now, I'll tell you, the best one of that one, I'm not cutting you off, Matt, but the best one of that one to me is the porta cable. The porta cable is the best one. It actually was the thicker cast iron, and it was just, it was nice. It was real nice.
Yep.
And it's not that the Wackerle was a bad one. It's just for me, it was useless. I don't make drawers. And when I do, it's just butt joints because I make drawers for shop furniture.
Yep.
I just bought during the holidays, I bought the Woodcraft version of that. And the instructions they're lacking to try to set that thing up. I never used one before. So I've been always wanting to try, dovetail joints, the easy one, not by hand, but now I'm going to try them by hand eventually at some point. But Scott from Red Lake Custom Woodworks, he sent me the actual directions from the porta cable one. And they're all the same. I mean, setting it up, those were very good detailed instructions. Or it was the Craftsman one, whichever one. They have both, I think, out in their shops. But once I read those, I was like, oh, okay. Now I understand what you're trying to do to get it set up. And I was able to make some. But what I've reverted to now is just the old-fashioned way now is just make that quick jig on for box joints on the table saw.
Yeah.
Set you dado stack in. And I've been making the heck out of that with that project I got going on. I've been making the heck out of box joints with that thing, and you just adjust them. I've got one for 1/2 inch, one for 3/4 inch material, pretty easy, pretty neat.
Yeah, I set one up on the Winfinity. So I set one up on my table that way to be able to do them.
And that was another thing I need to reach out to Wackerle too, is I bought a box joint jig for the router table. And I have not been able to make that work. There's too much play in that slide. And I don't know if it's just a mess up in their manufacturing or if that MDF expanded while it was in my shop because I got a lot of humidity down here.
I think
or
it
what,
came
but
like
it's
that.
brand new.
I think it came like that, Joey. I don't think it was you.
It's very frustrating. I had high hopes with it because I was like, man, this is making it's a nice, well thought out jig and it's simple.
Yep.
But it just doesn't work. Everything it doesn't line up. And I'm doing it per the instructions. But yeah, that was a pretty disappointing purchase. I had high hopes for that thing because it sure made it easy using it, but the way it operates. But yeah.
There was a guy on YouTube, and I can't remember his name to save my life right off the bat right now, but he made a box joint jig, and I've always tried to find this video again and never been able to find it. But he sets up the box joint jig, and he has his finger where he can push down his finger, and it'll move the piece over.
Fisher Shop.
Is it Fisher that has that?
I think it's Drew. I think it's Drew that has one that has
that.
It's like a cammed lock or something. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's automatic as you boom, 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 and you ain't got to sit there and pick it up and move it over. It just does it.
Yeah.
Oh, I think it was true. I think I remember seeing that video years and years ago.
Well, that's how I figured out how to use that dovetail jig. I watched because it was back when David Picciuto was still the drunken woodworker on YouTube. He had he made a video for that Wackerle dovetail jig, and I literally I put it on my TV in my shop, and I'm like, okay, step 1, okay, do this, going back and forth, and like that's the one time I used it, and I was like, yeah, no. So it just sits underneath the workbench. But
there you go.
Yeah, I need
always make those things super simple to make when you watch it. It's like, oh, that's not that bad. That's easy. Yeah. Until you try to go do it, and it's like,
yep,
I ain't coming out like that.
All right, let's do that giveaway. Give it away real quick.
Yeah,
let's go.
Give it away. Give it away. Give it away now.
Oh, don't make me beg. Get out of here.
You look so pretty.
Okay, here we go. Draw it.
Who is it? Who is it? Stick your tongue out if you won.
Johnny Foster.
Johnny Foster, congratulations.
It's Australian Abia.
If you will send me a message on Instagram, that's the easiest way to get in touch with me. So shoot me a message with all your info on the old IGs, and I will get that sent out to you.
Nice.
Yeah. So I'll throw this out there. I know we are coming up on an hour, boys. Do we want to talk about the other part of our
no, I think we can save it for the next time.
We'll save it for the next one?
Yeah. Right. Look at Johnny winning something nice.
There you go.
Yeah, all right.
Shoot me that message, and I'll get it sent out this week. Yes. With a hat I need to send out.
Oh. Still hasn't sent it. But
my house flooded. I had an excuse. Okay?
He has an excuse. He does.
It's all right. Just gotta give him.
It did. We saw it. We saw it on Friday.
Yes.
But
unless that was all AI generated, BJ.
I wish it was. I wish it was. I don't mind.
But we'd like to thank everybody for hanging out with us, and we will have a show next week. I know it's Super Bowl weekend, but we will be back here, same time, same place. Remember to go check us out on Patreon at patreon.com/Creative Makers Podcast.
Who's coming on next
to us?
I forgot. Is it Madeira?
Yes, it's Madeira.
It is Madeira.
Madeira,
Yeah,
Madeira Designs next
There
week.
you
Yeah.
go.
that's
He
what I'm
called-
talking
I didn't
about.
pull that up. I forgot to pull that up. We were in a mad rush trying to change everything out.
Yes.
But yeah, please come join us next week. We're going to be here with Trevor from Madeira Designs. Looking forward to chatting with that guy there. Thanks everybody for hanging out with us tonight. Remember Patreon. Remember, go and listen to us on Spotify, iTunes, all the major platforms. Hey, did you see now that on Spotify you can actually leave comments now
Really?
on the show?
Oh,
Nice.
Really?
I
I'd
did
like
not
to
know
see
that.
some of
I
those.
Check
just
it
saw
out. Nice.
So we're gonna have to start looking for that and pulling those up. Maybe we can display them or read them out for people that have gone in there and left comments. So that's pretty. I saw that and I meant to tell y'all the other day. I just forgot. But yeah, go
Good
listen
job.
to us. Yeah, well, sometimes you just get sidetracked, and I've got a plugged up ear, had plugged up nose, and now I got a plugged up ear, and you know how it goes. Just dealing with the crud still. But anyhow, until next week, thanks everybody. Y'all have a good Sunday evening. We'll see y'all next time. Thanks for hanging out with us. Anything else, guys? We out of here.
Have a
That
great
is it.
week.
Have a great week. We'll see
Johnny,
you all next Sunday.
remember to get a hold of BJ
Yes.
and send him a
Yes.
deal so you can get that out. And Don, I still need to get yours out. I'm going to do it here pretty quick. I just not feeling good, so
Yeah.
I'll get it out.
Hey.
It's coming. Don't worry.
I
Then
feel
have
my
some extra
hands.
goody goodies in there for having to wait. So anyhow, we're out
Hang
of
on.
here.
Don't end it. Hold on.
Okay.
Because you were talking. Johnny asked a question. Johnny, my info, if you want to find me on Instagram, it is Byroms Custom Woodworks. BYROMS.
It should be in the description.
It'll be in the description too. Yeah.
Johnny.
So yeah,
Yep.
just find me out there. Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Description down in the YouTube video. Johnny will give you a direct link to his Instagram page. Go
There you
find him. Go follow him. Go follow everybody in here. And we'll catch you on the next one. Bye-bye.